I'd like to speak about, in Renunciation, Parshat Chukat, the very same themes that we discussed last week in Parshat Korach, our ability to submit ourselves to the will of God, being able to appreciate who and what we are and the special gifts that we have. I'd like to see these exact themes within a particular section at the beginning of Parshat Chukat. And I think there's a certain beauty in being able to see how themes repeat themselves, but coming from a completely different point, and learning and journeying on a completely different venue this week to be able to reach these same points of destination. Beginning of Parshat Chukat speaks about Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, "This is the decree of the Torah, Zod Chukat Torah, which Hashem commanded, saying, speak to the children of Israel, and they shall take to you a completely red cow, which is without blemish, and upon which a yoke has not come." And then we have a description of the whole ceremony of the Parah Adumah, how it was burnt, and how the ashes were mixed with hyssop, with water, and were sprinkled on those who came, and other things, and sprinkled on those who came in contact with tumas mate, with the defilement of a corpse. This is Zod Chukat Torah. This is the quintessential chok. The Parah Adumah, how something like the ashes of the Parah Adumah, and the one who prepares them becomes impure, has the ability to purify, is beyond our understanding. But yet it's interesting that the Torah doesn't begin Zod Chukat HaPara. This is the chok of the mitzvah Parah Adumah. But rather, in very broad terms, it says Zod Chukat HaTorah. This is the chok of the entire Torah. We need to examine this. But what I'd like to focus, my friends, today is to focus in on one medrash. The medrash says the following, quoted in source 3. The medrash notes the peculiar fact that all sacrifice involve male animals except for the Parah Adumah. The answer is given in the form of a parable. When a servant's child dirtied the king's palace, the king called his mother to clean up the mess. Thus Hashem says, let the Parah Adumah come and atone for the sin of the golden calf. And this is what Rashi quotes based on Ramosha Darshan. And in source number 2, Art Scroll brings from the English the different connections that Rashi brings, whether you have the red of the red calf represents the concept of sin, that did not bear a yoke, because when we did the sin of the golden calf, threw off the yoke of God. There are many different connections that one can look at. But the question that we need to ask ourselves is, what's the connection? Just because there's a calf and a cow, we now make a connection that one is connected to the other? That's so superficial. In what way is the Parah Adumah, is this whole ceremony coming to atone, coming to cleanse the sin of the Egel HaZahav? What's the connection between the two? Rav Munk, in the end of source 3, notes the following. When Israel was at Mount Sinai, they were so holy, an atmosphere of death came to them only through a divine kiss. The Ramban teaches that the bodies of those who die in this exalted way do not become contaminated. But as a result of the sin of the golden calf, men began to die a natural death. It was only then that the procedure of the Parah Adumah became necessary. What's the connection? That at Mammon Har Sinai we returned back to a level of Adam Arishon before the sin, where we wouldn't have died a natural death, and only at Chet HaEgel do we revert back, and people then died a natural death. So therefore, as a result of the Chet HaEgel, we now need to have the whole ceremony of the Parah Adumah, the whole ceremony of tumas mate. Okay, we still need to find a deeper connection between the two. But this medrash brings us to our third point that in Renunciation we're going to deal with today. And that is, anytime we speak about death, we're speaking about where death came from. And we need to go back in our discussion to the sin of Adam Arishon. Somehow, the whole idea of the Parah Adumah, the whole idea of the Egel HaZahav, is linked very intricately with the whole beginning of where death came into the world, and that's the sin of Adam. And we need to be able to see how do all these pieces connect. I'd like to try to understand this medrash on two levels. The first level, giving the answer on the most simple level, and then we'll develop it among the Mefarshim. And this is found in many of the Mefarshim. This Mahalach is source number 4. Aser Finkus Ratzon Tiferet Shimshon Yesh Litbonein Ech Mitzvat Paraduma Hiatikun Al Chet Ha'egel. Our question: how is one the compensation, the rectification for the other? And he notes that Kol Tikun Shel Chet, anytime you want to rectify a sin, Sarich Liot B'Shorasho, it has to be at its root. Mashal L'ma Hadavar Dameh, to what can this be likened to? Seyeled Shebocheh. If a child is crying, ain't so tamim et piv, we don't say quiet, but rather we ask, Chokrim, why are you crying, little boy? Are you hungry? Are you tired? What do you need?